Now I get it. I didn't understand MCP servers either. And apparently it's not just me, or maybe not just you, that think that MCPs are just not worth it, because there's a lot of people that don't know the difference between using an API versus an MCP. And again, I was there right with you. Or maybe just what MCPs actually are capable of. Are they worth it, or are they just Web3 all over again? On one hand, it's really hard to see, at least at a glance, how different MCPs are from an API. Why would my application just not interact with LLMs via an API? Why does it need MCPs? And then two, as a consumer, why would I use MCPs to interact with things via an LLM when I could just interact with the application itself, whether through programmatic ways like an API or even just using the tool? So I had to retrain my brain to think of MCPs not just as a way for LLMs to interact with a application, but rather for me to use LLMs to interact with an application. So maybe that doesn't make perfect sense for you. So I built out an MCP server just to show you why this would be extremely difficult to do with APIs, but then also why you might start using them in your own personal life too. So here were MCPs that I started to use. And by this, I mean, I tried to use them frequently, mostly because, okay, if I'm using Claude Desktop or even ChatGPT, who recently came out with their own version of integrations, MCPs, there's ways that I can interact with tools that I use on a daily basis. And these were the ones that I started to learn, okay, this is valuable. Linear. So I would use Claude Desktop and even Claude Code to say, okay, hey, give me a list of all of my open issues. And I use Linear to think of video ideas, and then I can interact with that list instead of having to export them and then, or just like copy and paste, take a screenshot, whatever that might be. Okay, I get it. YouTube, same thing. I could then interact with my own YouTube APIs without having to export data as a CSV and use that. Notion. Again, same thing. Without having to export information, copy and paste, I could just have it read, and then I could analyze the data in that way. And you're kind of getting a gist of how I view MCPs, how I currently use them, but then maybe just a way of how you might think of building your own MCPs as well, or where they're currently very useful, because I think that's just it. It's being able to read data, analyze it, and do something with it within an LLM without having to do the manual task of exporting that data, of having an API in a readable format. Now all of a sudden you have an API with a little bit extra complexity, a little bit extra bonus things on top of it. So here is the main reason why MCPs are not just an API for your LLM. Now, don't get me wrong, they kind of are. An LLM allows you to interact with an application using MCPs, just in a more readable format. So if I'm chatting with an LLM, I don't need to know an API syntax that I need for that particular application. The MCPs give that LLM the standardization for how it should interact with that application. Because it's not just the what, how it's interacting, it's the why. Why would you interact with your application in that particular way? And in this case, why would you build an MCP when you could just build an API and just, have the LLM figure out how to interact with that API, right? Well, that's not entirely true. So I built a MCP demo server. After taking a look at this demo, I think you'll understand more why MCPs are not just an AI version of an API. Now, I am using a brand new Laravel MCP package that allows you to just create MCPs with ease. It gives you the things that you normally need for an MCP so that you can create those programmatically within Laravel and have them kind of be all set up and ready for you to go so that you can add this either as a web server or even a local server if you're wanting to test out your MCP, again, within your application. So just as a quick brief, here's what MCPs are. MCPs usually have three things. One, resources. Here's where LLMs know how to interact with your application, the knowing behind what it can then do. And so that's a standardized way for MCPs to know. Two, tools. This is going to fall in the more doing category, where it still might be read-only things for the most part, where you can read from your database or your application itself, but it's going to be actually accomplishing what your resources tell the LLM it can't do. And of course, in the tools, you can also have them be write mode as well. So if you wanted to, let's say, schedule a calendar invite, that could be a tool, but it could also be a tool if you wanted to list existing calendars. And then lastly, prompts. This is going to be the LLM's way of understanding through your MCP, okay, how might I best phrase things to the user, or how might I best try to listen to what the user is actually telling me to do. Now, it's going to take the descriptions of tools and the descriptions of resources to try to figure out which one of the tools it should run in any given instance, but the prompt is then going to be the standard for how it might then relay this information back to you. And so while Laravel's MCP package gives you the tools and standardization to make MCPs really easy and effortlessly, all of this is applicable across the board, even if you weren't using Laravel or using Laravel's MCP server. This local MCP server that I have set up, I have running so my Claude code can interact with it. It's this schedule server class. And this schedule server, usually LLMs need the name of it. They need specific instructions to tell the LLM how they should interact with the server. And this can be as detailed or as brief as you want. Again, detailed is probably the best thing for MCPs. And then lastly, within this Laravel MCP package, we can list what are the tools, what are the resources, and what are the prompts that we might need for this LLM to interact with our application. So this is an application that, let's say you have a team of, and this only has 3 people, but they have their own calendar. Maybe that's pulling from a Google Calendar API, for example, but you want to find a good meeting time for maybe one person and another person, maybe all 3 people, maybe different time zones, but then you also need to find maybe a specific day. And so you might think, okay, that's really easy to do with an API. Well, yes, it could be, but then you go into all of the ifs, ands, or buts where now you're interacting with specific time zones. And then what if you just want to do it within, readable English, where you're like, I just need to find a time with this other person on next Tuesday. That's harder to do within an API unless you account for all of the possibilities. So let's take a look at tools first. For example, the Find Available Time tool. Again, has a name, title, description, and this is going to be what the LLM is looking for in order to call a tool. It's saying, okay, if I need to find an available meeting time slot that works for all specified users, well, this is the tool that I want to call. Most LLMs need a schema to be able to interact with this MCP, and this gives, okay, here's the specific things that it can have. Users, duration, date from, date to, time slot size, max results. And then this is what that tool is actually doing. And in this particular case, I have John, Mike, and Sarah have their own JSON resource for any events that they might have on specific dates in the next couple of weeks, next week, as well as just normal working hours and times that they normally have recurring events. Of course, this was just be using an API for an existing calendar tool that you might have, or even in your own application itself. Now, even just based on the name names, you can see how resources differ from tools. Again, where these would be telling your MCP or your LLM via this MCP, what can it actually do? In this case, here's what a calendar schema might look like. Here's what scheduling guidelines actually look like and best practices for your LLM to then interact with this MCP. And then, okay, how are all the users' information actually viewed, actually read? Again, this is the how is it all working within your application, where the tools is, okay, now what can I actually do to receive that information? And then prompts enable your server to share that reusable prompt templates that AI clients can then use to interact with language models. So this is the standardized way to structure those common queries and interactions. And you can see that in this particular instance, where this might be the schedule meeting prompt. Well, we have arguments for participants, duration, purpose, urgency, but then this prompt request then just tells your LLM, okay, this is how this particular prompt might look like. Or when you receive a prompt like this from a user, here's what you might want to, how you might want to format that after you use a tool. Now you're using the prompt, then format to send that information back from the tool to the user. So all these things within MCPs, the standardization to resource to be able to say, okay, here's how this LLM might use this particular application's tools and prompts. The tools then give you the information to do something with it. And then the prompts themselves say, okay, I have that information or I've done something with this tool. Now I need to do this in a way that the LLM expects. In this case, the user expects this information to be received back. And all of that's really tough to do within an API because of the differences that then are branching out. Of course, if it's a very simple MCP of maybe just receiving information, if you're authenticated into that information, and your LLM still can interact with that API if it's just receiving a JSON resource, for example. But what happens if you need to do those extra steps of, okay, maybe it's not just listing a JSON resource. So let's take a look. I have my LLM connected via Claude Code to the MCP server that we're running within this time finder application. So I can say, let's see, how many of my coworkers are available next Tuesday. You can see that we're starting to use a tool, find available time. And this is all the users. So these are the particular parameters that this tool expects. Let's go ahead and run it. And so now it has that information. It's doing what it needs to do with that information, that tool, but now it uses a prompt to retrieve that information, send it back to me. Both my coworkers, in this case, I believe I had told it back up a little bit further past this. I am Mike, so both my coworkers, John and Sarah, are available next Tuesday. So we'll cancel out of this so we have no context. We'll go back into Claude and we'll maybe ask a different question. Like, let's see, who has the most free time out of all my coworkers? Who has the most free time on their calendar in any given week? So this is one that this would be tough to do with an API because you might be able to receive all information. You might be able to receive all their calendars, their day-to-day info, and maybe an LLM is good enough to then parse that and figure it out. But in this case, you have tools already ready for this. And that's where that differs from just a standard API. So now it's analyzing that calendar data. So it is reading it and it is doing analyzation, but it's expecting to do this. It's expecting to work in a way that the LLM can then interact with. And it looks like Claude Code is having some errors. Let's go ahead and try that again. Well, Claude Code issues aside, APIs still have a limited resource for giving the LLM what it's expecting because it's always going to be in the same format. Where within MCPs, now your LLM is not only expecting that format because because it is more standardized, a model context provider, but it also gives the ability to have different ways of actually receiving that information. So it's not just sending that information back and just having, one or two different API endpoints that you're then hitting and receive that information back. It's a little bit more diverse. It allows your application to interact with your LLM through this standardized model context provider to say, hey, okay, you might have just been asking for this list and I have that for you, but now I also have this other tool at my disposal that I might be able to call in conjunction with it. So are MCPs going to change how we do things in our day-to-day basis? Maybe not, but they're also helpful to know this is how LLMs expect to interact. And it's definitely more than just an API for LLMs. So regardless of if you use MCPs or even want to use MCPs within your personal life for specific applications that you might interact with within an LLM, it's just helpful to know that there is multiple ways to interact with your application, or maybe applications that you already use, knowing that your LLMs cannot just interact and do things, but then you can also give LLMs the ability to interact with things that you're building, that you're making, that you're creating. So maybe build an MCP server today, maybe tomorrow, but if anything, you should know how they work. And hopefully this gives you a little bit of primer to dive in even more. So keep creating.